is Nene Whispers, and today I thought, for the fun of it being October and almost Halloween, I would share a story about a real ghost story for you guys. It happened, I guess about 5 years ago. We had gone up to Oklahoma for a Civil War reenactment to a place called Fort Washita. Fort Washita has some old buildings and houses all around. Old cemetery. This one house is like a 2-story barracks that was rebuilt after being burned down. And so we had gone to watch the reenactment out in the fields. But before it started, we decided to kind of explore around, look at all the old houses around, and just kind of check it out. My older sister and I had walked inside this one small home. I have pictures of it here. In this picture of the kind of dining room area, it's just basically one big open room anyways, but to the left there you see a small door with a rope. And at the time when I walked up to it, I just thought it was probably a pantry of some sort, so I opened it and realized there were stairs. I looked over at my older sister and she was like, "Hey, let's go up there and check it out." Since she was always the more adventurous one. And I was like, "Okay, let's go." So we go up the stairs. And upstairs is just a big loft area, just kind of an open room with a window at the end. And we noticed there were cots kind of lined up on both sides of the room. The cots had boots or shoes kind of next to the bed. So we walked down the little walkway area toward the window, and we are both just kind of standing there looking out the window, seeing the people outside. And all of a sudden, I kind of felt like I was being watched. Felt uneasy and not sure what was going on. The hairs on the back of my neck started to stand up. And I kind of glanced over at my sister, and she was turning toward me, and I could tell by the look on her face that she was feeling the exact same way I was. And so she goes, "I think we need to go." And I was like, "I agree." So we get out of there, we go down the stairs, and we go back outside, and my mom was standing there waiting for us. And my sister's like, "I think that place was haunted." And my mom was like, "No." And I told my mom, I was like, I felt really uneasy. It was weird. It's like you just instinctively knew something was wrong. I don't know. And my sister goes, "The hair on the back of my neck went up." And I was like, "Me too." So it's just kind of weird. Well, when I got back home, I decided to look into the stories about stuff that happened there. And it appears that my sister and I are not the only ones that have experienced something similar to this. And I'd like to read y'all a little bit about what I found online. I'll put the link of it below, but let's see. Apparently there were lots of ghost happenings on that entire area, the entire Fort Washita area. The barracks, the two-story home I was talking about, apparently has quite a history on its own. There have been sightings of a headless woman walking around, and people have just kind of named her Aunt Jane. It says the legend of the ghost is a strange one and filled with numerous holes. No one really knows for sure how she died, although some say she was killed by thieves and others say by soldiers. No matter what happens, she was apparently beheaded in the process of her murder because she has been seen in years following, dressed in a white gown and walking about the fort with no head. The story says that Aunt Jane allegedly hid a large amount of gold somewhere on the grounds, and her ghost is still looking for it. Needless to say, this part of the story has prompted many would-be treasure hunters to go in search of the treasure, only to be frightened off by the ghost of Aunt Jane. It is even said that some of the treasure hunters did not see the ghost, but felt her presence, and she kept them from digging. Some force would hold the pick and not let it touch the ground, they said. And apparently, this is not the only strange story associated with the fort. After the Civil War, the fort was burned down and abandoned. A Chickasaw Indian named Charles Colbert was awarded the land the ruins of the fort rested on as part of the land unlocked from the Chickasaw Nation. He rebuilt the barracks into a home for he and his family and his 32 dogs. The first night they moved in, all the dogs disappeared. He spent the next day searching for them, and after rounding them up, brought them home, only to find them gone again the next morning. This was enough to convince them that they shouldn't be there, and they moved away. The next tenant was a doctor named Steele. He moved into the renovated house with his sister, who kept house for him. She began to report seeing a number of strange things in the house and on the property. Some have claimed that they were ghosts, but others claim they were figments of fevered imagination. Regardless, she suffered a nervous breakdown a short time later. Strangely, though, without knowing the history of the place, she claimed to have seen a ghostly woman with no head. The Steeles moved away, and no one has lived on the property since. The stories of old sightings spread through the area, and the place has remained a popular one for ghost hunters and for curiosity seekers. Now this is the part that kind of pertains to what I experienced, and this kind of creeped me out. After this section was posted, I received more information about hauntings at the fort from Sharon Ann States. She writes, I wanted to let you know that I'm very glad you paid attention to the stories from Fort Washita. I myself am someone who witnessed a haunting at that location. In 1994-95, I was a member of the 7th Regular U.S. Infantry. There was a living history club that frequents that site. On my first event, I stayed in the old Monahan cabin, just off the main parade grounds to the west of the ruins. On that occasion, a friend and I were assigned that cabin for the weekend. We were the only females, and so no one wanted to open another room in the main building. That first night, I had my first ghostly experience. I had no previous knowledge of haunting activity at that location. Anyway, that first night, my friend and I went to bed in the upstairs loft. All the doors and windows were locked, including the loft door from the inside. In the middle of the night, my friend woke up with the sensation of being strangled. I awoke when she sat up in her bunk, and although I saw nothing, the hair on the back of my neck was standing at military attention. After a few short minutes, I returned to my slumber. A few hours later, I awoke with the sensation of someone hovering above me. I opened my eyes, and while there was nothing to be seen, the sensation was persistent. The second night of the event, we were joined by another lady who was a U.S. attorney who lives in Oklahoma City. She was wary about spending the night in the cabin, but did so anyway. That night, we were discussing corsets before we went to bed. I was new to the living history, and I was gathering information. She removed her corset and placed it on a chair. Throughout the night, all of us were haunted by dreams of suffocation. The next morning, the lady picked up her corset and strings were gone. We knew none of us had removed them because the loft was too cramped for free movement. We couldn't even get up at night without waking the others. Only one piece of corset or string has ever been found again. All the doors were locked from the inside. So that was kind of weird after I read that, because that was the name of the house that I had been in. So it was pretty creepy. The next letter is from another woman who was also there at that same time. And this is what she wrote. I was one of the other ladies involved in the corset incident at the Bonham cabin. The third lady had placed her corset upon the pile of clothing she had removed. In the morning, it was indeed without its strings. We never did find any part of them. All of us had had nightmares during the night. I was the one who felt she was being strangled. In the morning, when we discovered the corset, we all tried to get down the narrow staircase simultaneously. Later that morning, I returned to the cabin to collect my things and change into my street clothes. The door to the staircase was closed, but I knew there was someone at the other side who was very angry at me for being there. I kept silently apologizing to the entity while I was changing my clothing and left as soon as I could. A funny thing about this entity is that it only manifests hostility toward women. None of the men who have stayed overnight have experienced anything. The story of the Bonanans includes a husband being murdered, the widow marrying soon after to the man suspected of the crime, and his untimely death soon after that. I do not stay there, nor do I visit the cabin any more than I have to during our living history programs. It is not a pleasant place. So that sounds almost exactly the kind of experience my sister and I had at that place. And it was just kind of weird. honest truth story, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it puts you in a nice, creepy Halloween mood. Good night, sweet dreams. Bye. Hey guys, it's Nene Whispers, and I hope that you enjoyed this video that I made. I kind of felt compelled to kind of continue it only because I had recorded it about, I guess I started about 11:30 at night to midnight, and I had decided to record it on my phone so I would be able to kind of sit in my living room and have my own little quiet time. But the odd thing is when I first started the video, the recording, about 1 minute into it, right after I kind of did a little intro, there was a loud bang that came from we have a spare room that holds our children's toys and such, and the bang was so loud it just kind of startled me. I continued with the recording, but I felt like the bang would be kind of scary for anybody listening to it, so I redid the recording. But going back and listening to it, I have no idea what could have caused that noise. So I was going to add that to this video so you can hear it and see for yourself what I meant. So it's just kind of weird. The rest of the night, I was unable to sleep. I came to bed and I kept getting a really uneasy feeling, and I couldn't decide what was going on. I, honest to goodness, did not go to bed until about 5 o'clock this morning. So I've only had about 3 hours of sleep, and it's already about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I just wanted to kind of give y'all the background behind this recording so you kind of get a better understanding. But anyways, let me go ahead and play you the audio of the bang so you would get what I'm coming from. So, hold on. I thought it would be kind of neat to kind of tell y'all a story about an experience I had. So that was the noise I was talking about that I heard. It, like I said, it startled me, but I kind of lost my train of thought when I was making the rest of the recording, which was another reason why I went ahead and redid it. Something else I forgot to mention, once I got back to bed, I decided to listen to a whisper video to help me fall back asleep, and I was just dozing off, and the desktop computer that I have on my desk here in the bedroom turned on and was playing a video. I don't even know how that happened. It's never happened before. I woke my husband and made him turn it off. He was half asleep, so he didn't know what was going on either. But that's one of the main reasons why I couldn't fall back asleep, between that banging and then the computer turning on like that. That was just a little too weird for me. So yes, I did not get any sleep last night. I think it will be a little while before I decide to go ahead and do another ghost type story, at least anything true. I don't mind reading stories, fictional ones, but anyways, we'll see. So I thought you would be interested to know a little tidbit of information. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it should definitely get you in that creepy mood for Halloween. And until next time, y'all have a safe and happy Halloween,